Today, I want to go over the draft from Game 3 of T1 HLE in the LCK playoffs earlier today. It was actually quite a solid draft from both sides, with good strategy and consistent themes throughout. So let's take a look. Also, I've been streaming at twitch.tv/LOL_squib recently, so come check out the stream if you so choose. T1 first picked Senna, which is good. Super OP champ right now with insane scaling and range. Nothing more to say here. HLE then employed good drafting strategy with a counter to what enemy just picked and the next available OP. Jinx does well into Senna because she matches themes of scaling and range. Yes, the Senna will likely have the push in lane early game, but Jinx doesn't really care. Once she hits 3 items, Jinx will be very good. HLE also takes Sejuani in first rotation, which is acceptable. Strong, stable, and reliable champion in the jungle. Now what we want both teams to do is pick champions with similar themes to these picks. Also, HLE might want some protection for Jinx and melee solo lanes to combo with Sejuani. T1 second rotation Ornn and Azir, which is a great rotation. Since there's absolutely no reason for T1 to blind top lane right now, we can safely assume this is going to be bot with Senna. This is probably the best scaling bot lane in the game currently. It also has great CC and lockdown and will likely get push in lane early into the Jinx. Azir is also just very good. Even though I'm not a huge fan of blind picking solo lanes at any point, Azir doesn't really struggle into many matchups. Super solid first 3 from T1. Amazing scaling and great range with engage and frontline from Ornn. HLE answer with Thresh on R3, which is probably the worst pick of the draft in my opinion. Realistically, it won't really do anything in the lane, and it won't be able to roam because the Jinx will just die to Ornn and Senna. Sure, he offers some safety to Jinx with the Lantern, but that isn't always the most reliable. If Jinx gets caught by any CC and Lantern is on cooldown, it's kind of just hopeless for her. I would have just preferred a ranged Enchanter, which would be more consistent protection and a better lane matchup into the Ornn. Anyways, through the first phase, T1 has a pretty sizable lead with superior bot lane matchup, better scaling, and better range. HLE R4 Yone, which is good. It does well into the Azir in lane, scales very well melee laner to combo with Sejuani. This also means that they will likely have a winning mid-jungle 2v2 early game no matter what T1 pick for jungle. So Sejuani should definitely be looking to play around mid lane or roaming around with Yone after pushing mid waves. T1 round out with Viego and K'Sante. This is where HLE comes back into the game. The Viego pick is perfectly fine. It scales well and will do fine into the Sejuani, but again, the mid-jungle 2v2 with Azir just isn't very strong. The real issue here, however, is the blind pick K'Sante. T1 banned 2 mid laners in second phase, meaning that if they wanted to blind pick K'Sante, this was a huge blunder. There are several available counterpicks to make sure K'Sante is completely useless at pretty much every stage of the game. Yes, T1 did have to blind pick top lane, but K'Sante, or any melee tank for that matter, is never the way to go. Something like Gangplank or Jax would have been much better to match scaling and not have any Omega counterpicks into them. And HLE predictably counter with Gwen on R5. Like I said, K'Sante won't really be able to play this game at any stage of the game. Unless some anomaly of a triple kill happens and he gets super ahead randomly, K'Sante won't function. Overall, both sides have put together solid team comps with great scaling. Despite the K'Sante blunder, I would give the edge to T1 because of their range advantage, but really this game could go either way because of how well both teams scale. Anyways, it's really nice to see a solid draft from both teams. It definitely doesn't happen often, so kudos to T1 and HLE. Thanks for watching. See you next time.